Hey peeps, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about the debate between lightning bolt only, chain lightning spam, or using chain lightning as a gap filler. First up, we're going to go through the spells to basically get a little bit more information on them. The lightning bolt rank 14 has a 10% mana cost, 2.5 second cast time. It does 719 to 819 damage with a 0714 spell power modifier. Comparing it to chain lightning, which has 26% mana cost, 2 second cast time, but it does 973 to 1111 damage with a 0571 spell power multiplier. What's also very important about these two spells is that Lightning Overload can be procced by both of them. The issue is Lightning Bolt can only hit one target, so it has 33% chance to cast a second Lightning Bolt. Comparing it to Chain Lightning, which also has 33% chance, but only if you hit 3 targets at once. If you use Chain Lightning on a single target, it only has 11% chance. So you can get unlucky and never get Lightning Overload procs with Chain Lightning. Now coming to the important part, the simulation. I already made a video on this. This is my gear. I put this in here, and we're going to go through all 3 scenarios where we use Chain Lightning as a gap filler, we use Chain Lightning on cooldown, and we use Chain Lightning not at all. So, the fight length 180 seconds, these are the settings here that I have. I will link this specific setting in the description, and then you can play around with it too. This is, like I said, my gear. This is only using it as a gap filler, with no Thunderstorm to be cast. So basically, I've noticed that the bot that does this always casts Thunderstorm even if you're low on, whenever you're low on mana, even though you technically don't need it. And then you lose DPS because casting Thunderstorm. So we're going to do it 3 times for all of them. We're just going to take the third number. So the number will be 7,809, and the detailed result says we're never Perfect. Totally fine. Now we're going to go to spamming Chain Lightning on cooldown and no Thunderstorm to be cast. We're going to go through this, and it's about, we're going to go through it 3 times. 7,752 DPS. So the DPS difference, let's just say it's 50. The issue is, we're for ordered 7 seconds. Let's say, okay, let's cast Thunderstorm so we don't go So this is me from editing, and I've noticed that when you click the Chain Lightning on cooldown one and allow it to use Thunderstorm, you obviously lose more DPS. And the reason why is also pretty simple. It uses Thunderstorm 3 times in that whole encounter when you allow it to use Thunderstorm. That's why technically being for 07 seconds is more DPS, because the sim overuses Thunderstorm. Even in the gap filler scenario, I've noticed without using a Thunderstorm, you're never going But if you allow the sim to use Thunderstorm in the gap filler method, it still uses Thunderstorm even though you wouldn't be because I suppose it wants to be over a certain mana threshold, and that's also losing you DPS. So technically, if you're spamming Chain Lightning and you don't have to use Thunderstorm 3 times and you only use it 1 time in the encounter, you could win DPS from it. Like I said, depends on the fight length, but I wanted to just throw that in here before people say, but actually, this is not right. DPS goes even lower because we're wasting, quote unquote, wasting a cast on Thunderstorm. And the DPS goes down to 7,713, and the DPS difference is basically almost 100. Now let's go to the third scenario where we don't use Chain Lightning at all. So when we simulate this 3 times in a row, we're going to 7,758, which is technically way more damage, quote unquote 40-ish damage, if you cast Thunderstorm, and if you don't and just take the part and just say fuck it, you're still doing more damage just using Lightning Bolt with my gear that I have. It's only a little bit different, like it's about 8 DPS, 9 DPS, but it's worth it. And then using the gap filler is obviously the most DPS increase, but this is a bot. This is literally a computer doing it, so you have to always keep in mind, no person will do this 100%. Like, you cannot play perfectly for this many bosses in a row and be basically a god and do Chain Lightning only as a gap filler completely perfect, so your Lava Burst always lines up with Chain Lightning being the end of the cast or whatever. Like I also said, it depends on your gear, because if you go to pre-rate gear and you use Chain Lightning only as a gap filler, as an example, you will do 6,876 DPS and you spend 2.2 seconds Then comparing it to Chain Lightning on cooldown, you will do... Oh, that's the wrong gear. Sorry, I was going to say, what the hell? You do 6,493, so you do about way less DPS. Like, I don't know, let's just go with 300 DPS here, even though it's more. I don't want to do math. And then going with no lightning bolt, no chain lightning at all, with the pre-rate set, you would do about 6,900. So technically, doing the gap filler actually loses you DPS, because your same with spamming it on cooldown, you're actually for 15 seconds, but only using lightning bolt, you're not at all, and you're doing way more damage. This is why your gear is just so important, and that's why you need to do your own research, basically. And this is just a rule of thumb. But also there's a weak aura here, which basically displays whatever is worth to cast. So this is a general thing where it's a relative damage per casting. So basically you can see the spell on top doing generally more damage per cast. So if you're not really good at determining which spell is better or which does more damage, because you don't trust the sim for some reason, you can use this and then play around it.